on this farm he had some pigs, E-I-E-I-O, with a oink oink and a oink oink, here a oink, there a oink, everywhere a oink oink. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had some cows, E-I-E-I-O, with a moo moo and a moo moo, here a there a everywhere a. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had turkeys, E-I-E-I-O, with a gobble gobble and a gobble gobble, here a there a everywhere a. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had some sheep, E-I-E-I-O, with a and a here a there a everywhere a. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. E-I-E-I-O.
This little pig went to market. This little pig stayed at home. This little pig had roast beef. This little pig had none. And this little pig cried, "Wee, wee, 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 I can't find my way home." Two little dicky birds sitting on a wall, one named Peter, the other named Paul. "Fly away, Peter, fly away, Paul. Come back, Peter, come back, Paul."
Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep and doesn't know where to find them. Leave them alone and they will come home, bringing their tails behind them. Little Bo Peep fell fast asleep and dreamt she heard them bleating. But when she awoke she found it a joke, for they were still a-fleeting. Then up she took her little crook, determined for to find them. She found them indeed, but it made her heart bleed, for they left their tails behind them. It happened one day as Bo Peep did stray into a meadow hard by. There she espied their tails side by side, all hung on a tree to dry. She heaved a sigh and wiped her eye, and over the hills went rambling, and tried what she could, as a shepherdess should, to tack again each to its lambkin. Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep and doesn't know where to find them. Leave them alone and they will come home, bringing their tails behind them.
Happy Families by Margaret Airedale. There were babies everywhere in the farmyard, of every shape and size and all sorts of colours. All of them were so happy this fine morning, and all of them were scuttering about, cheeping, bleating, barking, mooing, and making every sort of animal noise. Their mothers were busy too, trying to keep them from getting into trouble. "Quack, quack, quack, quack! My dears," called Dorothy Duck to her brood of ducklings, "you really must not walk around Mr. Bull. He is very heavy and may flop down on you unawares." "My dears," purred Farmyard Cat, gently cuffing one of her kittens, "you must not go, you really must not go and play with those ducklings. They are not suitable playmates for you, and besides, they swim." After dinner, the animals settled down for a nap. It was so quiet that the cheep cheep of young robins could be heard from the spouting, and rustlings in the straw as rats made their way under the stack, and one could even hear the plop of fish leaping in the pond. All were asleep except one. Timmy, the youngest and naughtiest of Farmyard Cat's litter, opened an eye. Nobody moved. He got to his feet gently and stealthily made his way outside the barn. Now he was free. Now he could go where he liked, do what he liked, with nobody to tell him, "Don't do this, don't do that, don't do the other." He was going to go where he liked and do what he liked. Light as a feather, he skipped across the farmyard, through the lamb's paddock, around the milking shed, through the bull field, where he stopped to look in wonder at the huge white bull whisking flies away with his tail, and down at last to the duck pond. One of the ducklings was stirring. "Good," thought Timmy. "Now I'll have a playmate." "Meow," said he, trotting towards the duckling. "Quack, quack, quack, quack! Ow!" cried the duckling. "What are you? Do you bite?" "Silly thing," said Timmy, annoyed, and began to chase the yellow duckling. It was quite a chase, and such a noise they made that all the other creatures awoke and stretched themselves and stood watching. Near the straw stack, a quiet form waited in the shadow, then darted out at the duckling as he scurried by. But before he could pounce, Farmyard Cat had him, and the rat screeched. Farmyard Cat was in too much of a hurry to bother with rats just then, and she let him go and joined Dorothy Duck at the edge of the pond. "Tiresome children," they agreed, yawning. "There isn't a minute's peace with 'em." "Quack, quack, quack, quack! I'll dodge you," cheeped the duckling, treading along the broad leaves floating in the water. Timmy danced after him, trod on the water, and found himself up to his neck. He clawed at the green leaves, but they were glossy, and he could not hold them. All his forelegs worked like fury. Like all four-legged animals, he could swim a little, but he was too frightened to know where he was going, and he swam away from the bank. "Meow! Oh, my poor Timmy!" wailed Farmyard Cat. "Quack, quack, quack, quack! Dear me!" quacked Dorothy Duck, shrugging her wings. "What a fuss over a little water!" And she ambled towards the pond, slipped in, and a moment later had Timmy by the tail. She put him down carefully on the bank, where he dripped and dripped and dripped. But he mewed, and was still very much dry and shiny once more. Then Farmyard Cat turned to Dorothy Duck. "Meow! Thank you, my dear," she purred. "Thank you so very much." "Quack, quack, quack, quack! One good turn deserves another," replied Dorothy Duck. "You caught the rat who caught my duckling who was chased by your Timmy who—" Yes, my dear, of course," agreed Farmyard Cat, carefully picking up Timmy and trotting away with him. "Don't you ever go near that pond again," she cautioned. "I shan't ever go near that pond again," said Timmy in an offended tone. "Or the ducks either. Great spiteful thing!" he added ungratefully. "She didn't half nib my tail."
Three blind mice, three blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all run after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a thing in your life as three blind mice? Three blind mice, three blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all run after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a thing in your life as three blind mice? Three blind mice, three blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all run after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a thing in your life as three blind mice? Three blind mice, three blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all run after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a thing in your life as three blind mice? Three blind mice, three blind mice, three blind mice.
Pussycat, pussycat, where have you been? I've been to London to look at the Queen. Pussycat, pussycat, what did you there? I frightened a little mouse under a chair.
Hickory, dickory, dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1. The mouse ran down. Hickory, dickory, dock.
Five little ducks went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck said, but only 4 little ducks came back. 4 little ducks went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck said, but only 3 little ducks came back. 3 little ducks went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck said, but only 2 little ducks came back. 2 little ducks went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck said, but only 1 little duck came back. 1 little duck went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck said, and 5 little ducks came back, back, back. Five little ducks went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck said, and 5 little ducks came swimming back. Goosey, goosey, gander, where shall I wander? Upstairs and downstairs in my lady's chamber. There I met an old man who would not say his prayers. I caught him by the left leg and threw him down the stairs. goosey gander, where shall I wander? Upstairs and downstairs in my lady's chamber, where I met an old man who would not say his prayers. I caught him by the left leg and threw him down the stairs. Goosey gander, where shall I wander? Upstairs and downstairs in my lady's chamber, there I met an old man who would not say his prayers. I caught him by the left leg and threw him down the stairs.
Rub-a-dub-dub. 3 men in a tub. And how do you think they got there? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, they all jumped out of a rotten potato. 'Twas enough to make a man stare.
Went to mow a meadow. One man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Two men went to mow a meadow. Two men, one man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Three men went to mow a meadow. Three men, two men, one man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Four men went to mow a meadow. Four men, three men, two men, one man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Five men went to mow a meadow. Five men, four men, three men, two men, one man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Six men went to mow a meadow. Six men, five men, four men, three men, two men, one man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Seven men went to mow a meadow. Seven men, six men, five men, four men, three men, two men, one man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Eight men went to mow a meadow. Eight men, seven men, six men, five men, four men, three men, two men, one man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Nine men went to mow a meadow. Nine men, eight men, seven men, six men, five men, four men, three men, two men, one man and his dog went to mow a meadow. 10 men went to mow a meadow. 10 men, 9 men, 8 men, 7 men, 6 men, 5 men, 4 men, 3 men, 2 men, 1 man and his dog went to mow a meadow. 1 man went to mow a meadow. 1 man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Went to mow a meadow. Went to mow a meadow. Went to mow a meadow.
The lion and the unicorn were fighting for the crown. The lion beat the unicorn all around the town. Some gave them white bread, some gave them brown, some gave them plum cake and drummed them out of town. Old Mother Hubbard went to her cupboard to fetch her poor dog a bone. But when she got there, the cupboard was bare, and so the poor dog had none.
3 Little Pigs. Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs. One day, they decided it was time that they all had their own houses instead of living together. So they went one by one to build themselves each a house. "Now remember," shouted the 3rd little pig to the other 2, "watch out for the big bad wolf." The 1st little pig was walking down the road when he met a man with a bale of straw. "That will do nicely for my house," he thought. He asked the man if he could buy some straw, gave him some money, and set about building his house. The 1st little pig finished his straw house very quickly, and when it was finished he was very pleased with himself, so he settled down inside his house to have a nice rest. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. "Who is it?" asked the little pig. "It's just me, the big bad wolf," came the reply. Now the third little pig had warned him about the big bad wolf, so he didn't think he should let him in. Little pig, the wolf said, "let me come in." "Not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin," the little pig giggled, because he was safe inside his house. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," the wolf roared. And he huffed and he puffed and he blew really hard, and the straw house blew right down. The little pig ran away as fast as he could to find his brother. Now the second little pig, when walking down the road, had met a man carrying a lot of wooden sticks. They would make a good house, he thought. So he asked the man if he could buy them, gave him the money and set about making himself a house of sticks. It had taken a bit longer to make than the house of straw, and he had only just finished and was sitting down for a rest when the first little pig came running along the road. "Quick, let me in!" squeaked the first little pig. "The big bad wolf is coming, and he's blown my straw house down." "Come in and don't worry," said the second little pig. "This house is made of sticks, and it's very strong." So when the wolf knocked on the door, the two little pigs weren't frightened at all. Little pigs, let me come in," said the wolf. "Not by the hairs on our chinny chin chins," giggled the two little pigs. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow the house down," he roared. So he huffed and he puffed and he blew, but nothing happened. So again he huffed and he puffed and he huffed and he puffed and he blew, and the house of sticks fell down. The first and second little pig ran away as fast as they could to find the third little pig. Now the third little pig, who was the eldest of the three and the most sensible, had decided that if he was to build a house it had to be a proper one. So he had gone to a builder's yard and bought bricks and cement. It was very hard work making a house with bricks, but the third little pig didn't stop for a rest all day. He wanted to get his brick house finished. It was a lot later on. He was just lighting a fire and putting a big cooking pot of stew onto it, when there was a noise from outside. "Quick, quick! Let us in! The big bad wolf is coming!" It was the other two little pigs. The third little pig made them all a drink, as the other two told him how the wolf had blown their houses down. "Now don't worry," said the third little pig. "This is a strong house, and we'll be safe here." The other two little pigs were worried, as they had thought their houses were safe, and the wolf had managed to blow them down. Sometime later, once again there was a knock at the door. Little pigs, let me come in," said the wolf. "Not by the hairs on our chinny chin chins," shouted back the little pigs. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," roared the wolf. So he huffed and he puffed and he blew, but nothing happened. So he huffed and he puffed and he huffed and he puffed and he blew, but still nothing happened. So he huffed and he puffed and he kept on huffing and puffing and blowing until he was red in the face, but the brick house would not blow down. "You'll not escape from me," roared the wolf, who was very, very angry. "I'm coming in to get you." The two little pigs were very frightened as they heard the wolf climb up onto the roof. But the third little pig just stoked up the fire and put the cooking pot under the chimney. The wolf, who had decided to climb down the chimney, was in for a terrible shock, because as he got to the bottom, he fell straight into the little pig's cooking pot. And that was the end of the big bad wolf. The three little pigs decided that perhaps they would like to stay together after all, and they all lived safely and happily in the house made of bricks.
Little boy blue, come blow your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. Where is the boy who looks after the sheep? He's under a haystack fast asleep. Will you wake him? No, not I. For if I do, he's sure to cry. Little boy blue, come blow your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. Little boy blue, come blow your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. Where is the boy who looks after the sheep? He's under a haystack fast asleep. Will you wake him? No, not I. For if I do, he's sure to cry. Little boy blue, come blow your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn.
Pussycat, pussycat, where have you been? I have been to London to look at the Queen. Pussycat, pussycat, what did you there? I frightened a little mouse under her chair. Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. It followed her to school one day. That was against the rule. It made the children laugh and play to see a lamb at school. And so the teacher turned it out, but still it lingered near, and waited patiently about, till Mary did appear. "Why does the lamb love Mary so?" the eager children cry. "Why, Mary loves the lamb, you know," the teacher did reply. Mrs. Hen. Chook, 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 chook. Good morning, Mrs. Hen. How many chickens have you got? Madam, I've got 10. 4 of them are yellow, and 4 of them are brown, and 2 of them are speckled red, the nicest in the town.